Boys and girls, are you ready for writing? We have two new letters to look at, and they are similar in one way. See if you can figure out what it is. Our first one is the letter V. It starts on the baseline. You hump up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline, hump back up to the dotted line, and you put on a shelf. Now, what other letter have we learned that has a shelf, students watching? Atlas?
W and V.
Yes, you thought of two of them. Now let's watch our moving V and see how well it goes. And you may trace with it with your Peter pointer in the air. Letter V as in violin. So we're going to start on the baseline. We're going to slant up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline, hump back up to the dotted line. Let your shelf hang right there in midair. Now, pick up your violin very gently. It's a precious instrument. And you're going to flip it over to the back, hold it with one hand, and with the bow that you use to play it with, you're going to write the letter V on the back. Ready? On the baseline, hump up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline, hump back to the dotted line, and put on your shelf, which is probably where you would keep your violin. Now lay your violin down. Let's have the second person each row come up with your chalk. Now everyone else take your bow that you used to play it with, and you're going to use your bow to write the V in midair. Here we go. On the baseline, hump up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline, back up to the dotted line, and I'll move my card so I can get my shelf on. There you go. Thank you, helpers. You may go to your seat. Again, some good formation. Just be careful that you slant it a little bit extra on the chalkboard. Now we have a new letter to learn. Besides that one, see how they're similar. For letter X, we're going to start on the baseline, hump up to the dotted line, hump straight down to the baseline, and in a smile, pick up and draw a diagonal line that crosses right in the middle and then end at the baseline. How are these two letters similar, Layla?
Because one is bigger, one is tiny.
Say it one more time.
One is bigger, one is tiny.
Well, I'm talking about comparing the X to the V that we just did. How are they similar, Kason?
Because they both have humps.
Yes, they start off the same way, but then this one doesn't have a shelf on it. Now, sometimes people get in a hurry and they put a shelf on the X and then put a line through it. Well, that doesn't make it an X and it doesn't make it a V. So be careful with your formation. Let's watch the X as it moves, and you may trace it in midair. Remember, X does not have a shelf on it. It has a diagonal line instead. So we're starting on the baseline. You hump up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline, bring it up and end in a smile. Then you get to pick up in the middle and make your diagonal line all the way across. Great job. Now trace one with me. In front of you, you have a box. I wonder what's in your box. Could be anything. All right, so take your special color, your favorite color chalk, and we're going to write an X on your box. On the baseline, hump up to the dotted line, hump down to the baseline. At this point, it could be a V, but we're going to end in a smile instead. Make your diagonal line all the way across. Now open up your box. You know what's inside? A brand new puppy. So take your puppy out. Lay him down in front of you. Drape his ear across your desk. He loves to be tickled. So now you're going to write an X on your puppy's ear. Ready? On the baseline, hump up to the dotted line, hump straight down, end in a smile, pick up and put your diagonal line. And put your puppy back in the box. Close the lid that has holes in it so he can breathe, and he'll take a nap. Now, let's look up here at these two letters. Now, I'm getting ready to make words with these, but I wanted you to see how I did it. So watch carefully. V starts right here on the baseline. You hump up to make your V, but watch my shelf. I'm coming down so far to make my E, so it looks like an E. Trace the floor and come up to make my next letter, the letter T. So it's very important when making a V and a W with that shelf to trace it down before you go into your next letter. Now with M, of course, it has 3 humps. They're all nice and even. Trace the floor. I is next. Now watch to see if I'm going to make an X or a V. And what is my word, Alana?
Next.
Yes, ma'am. And another clue to help you with the X, when you come down off of your hump, it's straight so you can end in a smile. Now today, I'm just looking for boys and girls who are doing their very best with their writing. I don't have any stickers. I don't have any happy notes. We're just going to do our best because we want to please God with our writing. So take out your writing paper. Park your car. Put your chair up to your desk since watching. We need to do our flight check all the time. Right? So if you have it right, when I say it, wink at me. Do you have your posture? Did you check your sweet spot? Lock it in. All right. Do you have your pencil position so you can see the point of your pencil? All right. And we did posture, paper slant. It's going the right way. Pencil position. Now you're going to pace yourself. Slow and steady. Write your first name. Your goal is to touch all of those lines and make it neat. Slow and steady. There it is. After you do your first name, critique it. Remember, critiquing means you look to see what you need to work on. Touching the lines, spacing, and then write your last name. And your last name should be better than your first name because you're working on that formation. Like how slowly your pencils are going, very steady. All right, seems like most of you have your name. Let's do our warm-up together. You can start yours. I'm going to do mine up here. Up and down and up and down. You want to stay right on that track when you do your warm-up. And slide your hand when you need to. All right, students watching, you will finish with your on-site teacher. And remember, the Bible says, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. And that means your handwriting. So do your best to please God.